They reported this 1 hour and 40 minutes before game time, which is also when doors open for this game. And I think that's what bothers me the most about this is the reporting of injuries. If the Indiana Fever were an NBA team, they would be fined into oblivion with the way that they report injuries, not only this season, but also last season. I feel like I have been very generous in how I criticize this organization.
There are fans walking into that arena right now who had no idea Caitlin Clark wasn't playing. Not everyone is constantly checking Twitter or refreshing injury updates online. Some people traveled from other states just for the chance to watch her live, the same way fans did last season when she kept being labeled day to day, even though many believed the team already knew she'd be out longer. Imagine finally getting to your seat, seeing Clark in street clothes and realizing at that moment that she's not playing. That's where the frustration really comes from. And to be clear, everyone hopes Caitlin is okay and that this isn't a serious injury. But the bigger issue fans have is the lack of transparency. People feel like they're being left in the dark until the very last minute, especially when tickets, travel, and expectations are all built around seeing one of the biggest stars in basketball on the court.
People walking into this arena who aren't on Twitter, who aren't on whatever, hoping to see Caitlin Clark. There are people probably traveling in from other states, just like they did last year when she was listed as day-to-day for so long when they knew she was not day-to-day. They knew she wasn't coming back. They're there. They're in the arena right now. They're probably finding out. They see Caitlin Clark in street clothes. They're like, wait a second, she's not playing today? I didn't know this. That's the biggest problem that I have. I hope Caitlin as well. I hope that this isn't some sort of crazy injury.
There are fans walking into that arena right now who had no idea Caitlin Clark wasn't playing. Not everyone is constantly checking Twitter or refreshing injury updates online. Some people traveled from other states just for the chance to watch her live, the same way fans did last season when she kept being labeled day to day, even though many believed the team already knew she'd be out longer. Imagine finally getting to your seat, seeing Clark in street clothes and realizing at that moment that she's not playing. That's where the frustration really comes from. And to be clear, everyone hopes Caitlin is okay and that this isn't a serious injury. But the bigger issue fans have is the lack of transparency. People feel like they're being left in the dark until the very last minute, especially when tickets, travel, and expectations are all built around seeing one of the biggest stars in basketball on the court.
Protecting your players. So I've always tried to give the benefit of the doubt and saying, maybe they're doing this for them. I don't know at this point. I really don't know. I don't even know how to advise you guys on if you should go to the games, if you should tune in. I don't know what to expect. Clearly, if they can report an hour before the game, you're actually not allowed to do that. If this were an NBA team, they would be fined. They would be punished. That you're not allowed to do this. You're especially not allowed to do this because of the betting markets. And a lot of these organizations, the NBA.
Think about what this means for the fans in real life. People bought those tickets weeks, sometimes months in advance. Some drove across state lines. Others spent money on flights and hotels just to watch Caitlin Clark play live. And now they're already inside the arena, checking their phones and suddenly realizing the player they came to see is sitting on the bench in street clothes. That's why the situation has become such a huge controversy. The WNBA has clear rules regarding injury reporting. Teams are supposed to provide updates by specific deadlines so fans, media, and even league partners have accurate information ahead of games. But according to critics, the Fever failed to properly communicate Clark's status after she missed practice and reportedly dealt with back stiffness before the game. And this goes beyond disappointing fans. Sports betting is now heavily connected to professional basketball through companies like DraftKings, FanDuel, and PrizePicks. Injury reports directly impact betting lines, player props, and financial decisions people make before tip-off. So when a major star is ruled out at the last possible moment, many believe it raises serious questions about transparency and league policy because in other professional leagues, late injury reporting can lead to major scrutiny and potential penalties.
Saying about this injury because we're also seeing conflicting reports of what is actually going on with Caitlin Clark and with the Fever. So Scott Agnes said, Fever guard Caitlin Clark will not play tonight versus the Portland Fire. I'm told it's part of a strategic management plan for the season. Tonight is the Fever's 4th game in 8 days. Okay, so the last time they played was Sunday. She had 2 full days off. Again, I don't know. I hope that she's fine. With all of this, you guys, I'm not putting any of this blame on Caitlin Clark because I truly do not know what's going on. I do not know what's going on. But if this were any other league, we would know what was going on.
But here's where the situation becomes confusing because there are now 2 completely different explanations for why Caitlin Clark was ruled out. Scott Agnes, who closely covers the Fever, suggested this could simply be part of a long-term management plan. Basically, load management. Indiana played on Sunday. Clark logged 24 minutes, and with the team not playing again for 6 days after this matchup against Portland, some believe the Fever chose to rest her strategically. But another report paints a very different picture. Chloe Peterson reported that Clark is actually dealing with a back issue, missed practice on Tuesday, woke up Wednesday with stiffness, and the team decided not to risk making it worse. Stephanie White later confirmed Clark received treatment instead of practicing, though she also admitted she couldn't say whether this would become an ongoing issue. And that's why fans are so confused right now. Is this simply precautionary rest during a long season, or is there a legitimate injury concern developing behind the scenes? Because those are two completely different situations, and each one carries very different implications for both Clark and the Fever moving forward.
Was lying and saying, no, it has nothing to do with her ankle. Caitlin Clark came out and said, yes, it was my ankle. So he was vindicated in that sense when everybody was calling him a liar and telling him he didn't know what he was talking about. That actually was the true report and everybody else was lying or was getting misinformation. So that's what Scott had to say about it. Then Chloe Peterson said this. She said, Caitlin Clark has been rolled out with a back injury for tonight's game after the Fever's pregame walkthrough. She was not on the injury report yesterday. Stephanie White says Caitlin Clark did not participate in practice yesterday. Again, you guys, if she didn't participate in practice, there has to be, they knew that there was a chance that she wasn't playing. In any other league, you have to be listed as doubtful, questionable.
Let's look at the strategic rest explanation for a second, because the timing honestly raises a lot of questions. Caitlin Clark only played 24 minutes on Sunday, which is already below her normal workload. Then she had 2 full days off before this Wednesday game. So this was truly planned load management. The decision feels strange. Usually, teams rest stars during difficult road stretches, not during home games where thousands of fans specifically bought tickets to see that player. And that's what makes people skeptical. Indiana plays again Friday in Phoenix and then gets 6 full days off afterward. So if the goal was simply rest, many fans are wondering why not sit her on the road instead and let her play in front of the home crowd Wednesday. And if the team already knew she wasn't practicing Tuesday, why wait until barely over an hour before tip-off to announce it? There's also the bigger league-wide issue here. Load management has become common in the NBA, especially after years of controversy surrounding star players resting during major games. But the WNBA hasn't fully moved into that territory yet. What the league does have, though, are injury reporting rules, and that's why so much attention is now being placed on how the Fever handled this situation. Now, here's the part that worries fans even more. If Caitlin Clark's back issue is real, then the Fever likely knew about it before game day. Fans had already noticed Clark getting treatment on her back during earlier games, but the team kept saying everything was fine. Then she missed practice Tuesday, yet the injury report still listed no injuries. Wednesday morning came, a report said she woke up with stiffness and still nothing was updated. Then suddenly, just over an hour before tip-off, she was ruled out. That's why so many fans are upset. The WNBA has injury reporting rules specifically to avoid last-minute surprises like this. If a player misses practice or is dealing with discomfort, teams are expected to report it early. Instead, many people feel the Fever waited until the last possible moment. And this isn't the first time fans have questioned the team's transparency. Last season, Clark was repeatedly listed as day-to-day before it later became clear the injury was more serious than originally described. Because of situations like that, some fans feel they can no longer fully trust the organization's injury updates. The bigger issue now is the relationship with the fan base. People spend money on tickets, travel, hotels, and experiences just to watch Clark play. When updates come at the last minute, fans feel blindsided. It also matters because the WNBA now has betting partnerships and national attention, meaning accurate injury reporting is more important than ever. At this point, fans just want clarity. If Clark is injured, they want honest updates. If it's precautionary rest, they want that communicated properly too. Because right now, the confusion and mixed messaging are creating frustration around the Fever organization.